Okay, we'll call the meeting for the Master Facilities Oversight Planning Committee to order. It's October 19th, 2020. First order of business is we need to approve the minutes for last month's meeting.
So moved.
Lindsay's, I got a motion from Lindsay. Anybody else?
I got a second.
Dane? Thanks, Dane. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those nays, same sign. Motion carries.
Hey, Pat, before you go
Yes,
any
sir.
further, one thing on the minutes, we got some guidance from Laurel Day on our minutes.
Yep.
And kind of a long story short, and I can send you the email on it. Our minutes are too detailed to be published on the website for legal reasons. So they are going to become much shorter. So if you look in the meeting packet, I think the first two, let's see here, 4 pages is how we used to do the minutes. And then the page following is what they're going to look like. And if you look at any other minutes from the other board and appointed committees, they are really much shorter.
Condensed, yeah.
Yes. So going forward, that's what they're going to be. That's what they're going to look like. And I know it's different from what you guys are used to from the past however many years. But that's the guidance that we were given and the guidance that we're going to follow. So the nice thing is that if you want to refer back to a meeting, the last hour meetings we had are all on YouTube. So you can go back and listen to them if you would like.
Right on. No worries. All right. Moving forward, we got the minutes taken care of. We'll go with the financials for John. Not John. Having a brain fart here.
Dave.
I seen you on camera, Dave. I just didn't see it before. Or you can see your name on there. Go ahead. You're up.
All righty. I'm going to share my screen
Perfect.
so we can kind of go through the documents that way. This over here. And can you see the actual agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, we're going to scroll right down to that part of the agenda. And this is going to look a little bit different from what you're used to, partly because we are having a little bit of issues with some of our budgeting with Grant Wood right now. And until we get that corrected, we cannot send the information to Forecast 5, where we get these really nice reports from. And so we had to manually put this together instead of trying to go through all the work and comparing the prior year right now. I just said, let's just give us where we're at today and overall with revenue expense. And next time we meet, you'll have the nice comparison that you have seen previously. This is a kind of a patchwork right now until we get this going. Most of the budget stuff that's talking about save and all of that is fine. It was things that were getting doubled up in salaries and benefits through a process that we worked through Grant Wood, our software provider. And until we got that resolved, we could not finalize our certified our line item budget correctly and then send it off to Forecast 5 until that was fixed. So this is what we have for this meeting, but in the future, you'll get back to the normal ones that you were used to seeing on this part. But here for the save, as of right now, we have spent as of October 13th, we have spent $24,315,000. That is actually encumbered. And I'll kind of show it to you when we get to that a little bit, because a lot of this is encumbered work for Coolidge. A lot of this number right now has been encumbered. As revenue to date of this 3.4 million, we have brought in a measly $3,000, just a little bit over $3,000 in interest so far this year. Interest is not good right now. And our save revenue through that time is 2.8 million of this. That's the majority of this revenue here. As in for Pebble, same type of thing. We we encumber things that we already have in the works, and things that haven't been already, POs haven't been issued, they haven't been encumbered. So this number looks a little bit different, more than like a big number of here, 24 million. We haven't spent 24 million this year. A lot of that's been encumbered. But for revenue, we have, of this 305,000, almost 88,000 of that was insurance money for reimbursement for repairs for Jefferson electrical issue that we had, where the flooding of the underneath the music rooms. That's how much money we received from insurance so far. The expenses are a little bit more than that, and we'll actually file for the what they call the depreciated value, and we'll get reimbursed for that as well. Any questions on this before I go on from this page? Okay.
Hey, Dave, any chance you can zoom into that PDF just a little bit more? Awesome. Perfect. Thanks.
You bet. Now we're gonna kind of show you what we have changed up our line item budget documents from what we used to have. And some of you may have not even seen those on our website. It used to be a book. Our book line item budget was a book that we created, and we used to print these books out and give them to the board and give them to anybody who requested. In the last couple years, we still created a few of those books, but the books were out online. And instead of that, we have we're putting links into our on our website that's easily accessible, and you get to different parts of it very quickly. The book, you just had to scroll and get to the pages that you really wanted. You just had to scroll and scroll, and they were like 100 pages long. Last year's was anyway, 99 pages last year, just shy of 100. The other years, they were longer than that. And instead of that, you're going to go to our website and you're going to click on Department and Services, and you'll go to Current Year Budget. Then I'll take you down here to the Current Year Budget information. You have organizational information that talks about a lot of different things like enrollments, our buildings, and all of that is in here. We have our certified budget. You can actually see the actual certified budget.
Yes.
Hey, Dave, you're not on mute.
Yeah, mute yourself, Dave. You're on a meeting.
Sorry.
I got him.
All right.
Should be muted.
So you have the certified budget. You can see the actual certified budget documents here. But then you have all the different funds down below here. And I'm going to kind of walk you through what you see out on the website in the SAFE fund and the Pebble fund today. That's in the next documents. So here you have the SAFE, and it's the Safe and Secure and Advanced Vision for Education. That's what that stands for. It's a 1 cent sales tax. It's funded by a 1 cent sales local option tax that used to be called local options tax. It was established by our legislature in the mid-90s to give school districts a revenue-producing alternative to property tax for infrastructure and technology needs. In 2008, it switched to a 1 cent statewide sales tax, and that is provides funding to all public schools now, and it's not those who just voted it in. So here is a kind of historical of our revenue, and it's based on enrollment. And so you can see from 2019 to 2021, it went from 16.9. This is the estimated revenue that we would get to 17.1 for FY21. You can see that in FY20 it was higher. This is where that reduction is showing up on the per pupil, going from 1,059 to 1,018. And then, so in you can see those changes here for the statewide. This is all the schools across the state, all the money that's generating for the SAVE estimated to generate. And you can see it started out here at for Cedar Rapids 953 and 1,018. Statewide average was less than that back in the day. So, but now over time, it finally jumped in you can see the year it started matching up right here, FY14. Everybody started matching up the same numbers going forward.
Hey,
How
Dave,
can it-
Dave,
Yeah.
couple of questions.
Yep.
Why is it that it's syncing up? And then the second question on about where's the fall off in the enrollment? Is it in any specific individual school, or is it just across the board in terms of the decline in enrollment, and is enrollment been certified?
These enrollments are certified enrollment numbers. It can be a combination. It's kind of spread across our district at different levels. I can't tell you on the pinpoint if it's not a specific building. It's across our district, and it also plays into our enrollment. It plays into our open enrollment numbers in these factors as well, and it also plays in our weighted enrollment numbers that play into this overall certified enrollment. And I can't say exactly from here to here where that was pinpointed at. If I dug a little bit deeper, I could give you a more detailed answer on that. But pretty much it's across our district. And I think it's more predominantly, I believe, at the elementary level, but I have to double check that. So.
Yeah, and that's good enough. I just thought maybe it was standing out that it was in a particular school, but you're saying it's pretty broadly based.
It is. So.
Thank you.
Now, how is it used? This is kind of, if you want to take a look at it, the percentage breakdown. We decided to do a percentage breakdown through inception through FY20 and how it compares to now. So, for example, we spent new facility construction and acquisition through inception till now. It's only been 0.6% of overall how we use the money. Very little has been on new facilities, new acquisitions, very little. Now, majority of our funding is going that direction, for what we're budgeting. And so you can look at facility upgrades back here through inception till now. We spent a lot of it on upgrades. 57% of our projects were on upgrades and maintenance and ADA type of things. Moving for our budget for FY21, only 9.2% is being based on that. Technology is, it's down a little bit, but we spent 10.4 million on technology. Now it's 7.3. And the other big one here is property tax relief. Through inception of all of our revenue we collected for sales tax, 11.2% was property tax relief. That's $40 million that what we spent on that. And we have committed to that. When we passed it, we have met our commitment, and now we're not putting anything toward property tax relief, which is really what this was doing, was paying down bonds that we had secured with GO bonds previously. We were using sales tax money to buy those down. This kind of list then goes into list our committees, the Oversight Committee here, and our Technology Oversight Committee. Then we put a little bit of information about our master facility plan, just a very brief synopsis in here. It began in 2016. Plan focused on ensuring that all elementary facilities optimize their learning and teaching experiences for students and staff. The resolution was passed in 2018 to move forward with the plan. Here's kind of how the plan looked, talking about newly constructing 10 of these elementary schools, renovate 3, phase out these elementary schools here. And then we go into the financials. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here other than talking about little highlights here when you look at it. The fund balance increased from 7.4 million to 39.2 million in this year. From here to here, between 2018 2019, was due to the $25.185 million of bonds that we issued. That was the big influx. And then when you start looking at our balances, you can kind of see back in here when we issued bonds. That's when the fund balances jumped up, then they go down because you spent that money, and like here, it's jumped back up, and then it will eventually start going back down as we complete those projects with those funds. Any questions? Okay, then you go on to the physical plant and equipment. Now this is, it's two components to physical plant and equipment levy. There's a voter approved portion and a board approved portion. The voter approved levy is $1.34 and it cannot exceed 10 years. And that's the maximum. And we did get that in the last time we did this. I think it's up in 2025, I believe. It's up for a vote again. And the board approved is at 33 cents per thousand of taxable valuation. You can kind of see how the dollars for FY21, how much it generates. For voter approved, it's 8.3 million, and the board approved, it's 2 million. You can kind of see where we compare on our levy rates. Obviously, the medium, you can tell not everybody is at $1.34. The medium across the state is at 68 cents, and which is slightly above the normal 67 cents, where a lot of times people have done, because it used to be the max, and people have done the 67 cents. Somebody did a little slightly, a little bit more, but at the average. And our board approved, as you can see, there was a period of time we didn't even do the full board approved either. We only did 25 cents, 26 cents, not the full amount, which is very interesting. How can it be used? Maintenance, repair, safety upgrades, roofing, asphalt, masonry, school buses and maintenance vehicle purchases. Talk a little bit about the Pebble Promise here. And then what was looked at, identified in that process. And but you can see that what was identified back then when we were working through the Pebble Promise, some things have changed because of the master facility plan. Identified buildings that are going to be repurposed. So that's why when John's talking about our plan about deferring and whatnot, and here are year 7, a lot of that's taken into account based on our master facility plan changes. Here's our financials from 2017 to 2021. And this goes back a little bit further down here where our fund balances, it has grown over time here. But we are starting to tackle some things now on a master facility plan year 7, that we are starting to tackle some additional projects that are needed in the district. John will kind of talk about that when he gets to his part. Now you're going to get into the other documents that we're used to seeing. So we have our save. This is done by year, by project. You can kind of see. In FY21, right now we have 37,068,000. What will be added here for a budget for this year, which we hadn't added here, is we're estimating this year that on Jackson we'll spend about 2.5 million. That will be added, which we haven't, a budget amendment just was done, and that will show up in the next report. But once we do issue the purchase order for the Jackson, you're going to see pretty much the full amount, our estimated amount here of the $25 million showing up as encumbered. We'll start showing that and as an encumbered expense. But our budget will show up as initially as for what we plan to spend is $2 million. But we are planning to spend about 17 million this year for Coolidge. That's about it. I just want to pull out on this. If you take a look here, I do want to point this out. If you look at the elementary rollout, computer rollout, this is an area we talked a little bit about previously that we were, this wasn't on the plan to do this year. So for technology, it wasn't on the plan. And so right now we have about 1.9 million, almost $2 million on elementary technology. There could be a point in time during this course of this year, some of these expenses will move out of the elementary bucket here and save to the general fund and be allocated against the CARES money or the ACT money for the COVID relief. We're monitoring that, and if we can shift some of the expenses out of here and put it back into the CARES Act money, we will. But it's all going to be predicated on how much FEMA reimburses us for what we have filed for FEMA, to how much money we can shift. Then you go down here. These are all the other years back in SAVE. So I'm just not going to kind of go through any of those, but it's just there for your guys' reference. Then we get down to Pebble. So in total here in SAVE, we have so far I had budget 124 million and we spent 97 over the course of through 2016-17. Now you go into Pebble. Pebble, I do want to point out a few things here, not that many, but a couple things. You can notice here, Iowa Volkswagen settlement. This is the grant, the amount of money that we spent for the buses that we have gotten in, that's going to be allocated. They're going to get reimbursed out of the Volkswagen settlement dollars. We have this grant, $263,000 we're expecting to get from the our settlement for the buses that we had already purchased, that we had on hand in FY20. We haven't got that money back because we can't claim that until we complete that first round of the grant. So it's at the end, but we want to book the expenses separately so we can match revenue expenses for grants. That's pretty much what you need to do. And so we will this will be approximately $500,000 that we'll get, that will be getting reimbursed through the grant. Also, you can take a look at hail damage that we've had from the spring. We had at these schools. These are some of the projects that we're tracking of expenses that we have paid out so far to date. And then we have our derecho. These are expenses that we have done. There's a lot of expenses being paid directly from our insurance to the restoration company. So it's not flowing through us, but we're getting copied on everything that's getting paid. Jefferson water damage, that's another one I'm pointing out. So you can see that we have spent $96,000 on Jefferson water damage. And so that money will be getting reimbursed 100, except for our deductible through insurance. And that's about all I wanted to point out on Pebble. Does anybody have any questions?
Dave, this is Pat. Can you hear me again?
Yes.
Okay. I lost my internet, so I'm on the phone only.
Oh, okay.
Dave, this is Lindsay.
Yep.
Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but on page 24 of the PDF, and it's move ahead, or excuse me, it's defer to later date.
Lindsay, we haven't gotten to those pages yet.
Okay, I'll wait.
Oh, down in these? Yes. In this area? Is that what you're talking about?
But page 24.
I don't have page numbers on what I'm looking at for some reason. So.
Well, I'll wait till you get to it.
All right. I'm not, that's all I have and that's going to be under John's once you get into, but the financials just ends through right here.
Okay,
So. If no other questions, I'm done with my financial report.
John, you're up then.
Dave, can you unshare your screen?
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Yes.
I was talking to myself there for a second, then I realized I was on mute. All right, and I will share mine. That's not the right one though. Hang on a second. Let's try this again. There we go. All right, so every year in October, we go kind of through the same thing. So it's going through the projects that will be our Pebble projects for next summer. Very similar to years past, we have scheduled projects that were scheduled since the inception that we're going to move forward with. One thing that I did change on these is, so the budget looks odd, right? Typically it was a nice round even number. This has a 2% per year inflationary factor added to them. So this would be the true budget, which aligns with what Dave and Sarah have put together for the financial information as well. So these first set of projects here, typical type things that we're moving forward with. The second one here are projects that we're going to move ahead in place of projects that we're deferring. So I'll actually jump down to that first to go through this. So these projects here are ones that we're deferring. The majority of them are at elementary schools due to the facility master plan. Same thing we've talked about in years past. One thing or two things on here I think that are a little different. The right fire alarm upgrade. So I'm deferring that actually due to derecho. The fire alarm panel that was there was fried. So we updated that panel. That's able to dial out to the fire department now. So it's been upgraded. I still have the same devices in there, but I've performed an upgrade on it here that was paid for from insurance. So that way that one's deferred. And then my hazard assessments of trees. So I'm deferring that money as well. Derecho did a lot of tree trimming for us here, maybe more than what we wanted done. But that's a different type projects that I don't typically defer on that. Oh, I'll jump back up here real quick to the moved ahead. So really these are projects that are replacing the deferred. The only one I would say that's not necessarily replacing the deferred project is a storage building at Kingston. So some of you know this, the west side of Kingston, excuse me, that is our grounds maintenance, repair, storage shop, and then what we call the bullpen that's just to the west of that, right out in front of Kingston. We're going to put up a new storage building maintenance shop to the east of the Jefferson baseball field where we own some ground so that we can get moved out of Kingston and really kind of get rid of the eyesore of what's there now and a shop that's actually usable for them. So currently they're not, I don't even think they can pull a pickup in. I know they can't pull in any of their large trucks to do any maintenance work on them. Currently, they don't really have anywhere inside to park anything in the wintertime. Big issue we have is with the sand and the salt that freezes, it sets out in the parking lot in the middle of winter. And then they have to try to use that when they're removing snow. So just a lot of things there that they've gotten by with for years. That's obviously less than ideal. And I think some of the efficiencies that will come with having a building that was intentionally designed for them is going to be huge. Then lastly here, so this is probably I'm going to say a newer heading than what we've had in the past, projects that are already complete. So a lot of these were done here in the last couple of years. So they were supposed to be year 7 projects. So they were supposed to happen as per schedule this year. And they were actually ones that got moved ahead into the last 2 years. So they're already complete. So that's why they're on here as not to be done, because they're already done. Then last section here, the non-Pebble Promise projects. The first 4 on here, they're on here every year. They're not designated projects, but we always give some dollars for equipment at the stadium, some dollars to custodial supplies, green bucks, kiln replacement. So there's kind of 2 one-off projects, I guess, that we have every year. Taylor, we need to replace the HVAC rooftop units. They are past their usable life, and we got lucky to find parts this time for them. So I don't want to be put in that spot again. They're just out of date. They're a Series 1 model. They're now up to Series 3. So a lot of the parts that are in there, you just can't get. Like I said, we got kind of lucky this time around that we were able to find them. The manufacturer said I wouldn't count on finding those again. So just to get in a spot where we don't have heating or cooling in the building, they're in need of replacement. I've worked with the DE design engineers on this just a little bit for budget wise or what our options were. Just strictly replacing the units is the cheapest option there. There's obviously, we could spend more and do different things, but knowing that Taylor is a building that's time's limited, we don't know how long that time is, but it is limited. We think this is the best solution. And then McKinley, another security project, secure entrance, office renovation. So those of you familiar with the buildings there, you walk in on first floor, the office is up on second floor. So it's creating a secure entrance and obviously moving their office down to an area that's adjacent to the entrance versus being a floor out. So in a nutshell there, that is what our projects are going to be for this next summer. Questions?
Allison, this is Lindsay. You did answer one of my questions, which was regarding Wright on the fire alarms upgrade. I
Yep.
think it'd be beneficial if that the minutes showed something to reflect that, that, because I was reading this and took it real literal, like you're deferring a life safety item. And if you just would explain in the minutes that, that got paid for by other funds, I think that would be good because, this document is a public record. And then my other question was, or is, that some of these dollars that are being spent hopefully will have some energy efficiencies. And how are you dealing with trying to get rebates from the utility companies?
Yeah, so a couple different ways. Sometimes we were able to do custom rebates, which custom rebates are getting less and less. A lot of the rebate programs went away about a year ago. So we used to be able to get rebates, for example, like on roofing projects. We could do a custom rebate for a roofing project because we're increasing the R value. That's no longer, they don't have that program anymore. So really we're very limited. Any of the lighting projects, we'll get a per fixture rebate on, and it really depends on what wattage of fixture we're putting in, on what those are. Sometimes it's maybe $10 a fixture. For some of the outdoor sports facilities, we can get up to 35, and maybe there's even a couple that are $50. So we take advantage of that anytime we can. But unfortunately, there's not as much out there as there used to be.
How about on the HVAC?
HVAC is still something we can do a custom rebate on. Yep.
And then when the rebates come back, is there some way that you're going to be able to track and report that back to us?
Yep, we can do that for sure.
I just think it'd be a good idea, showing, I'm not questioning the school district. I just want you to show in the best light that you're being good financial stewards of
Definitely.
rebates when possible. So those were the questions I had.
John,
Yeah.
are you going to be doing Roosevelt also, moving their office down?
So we did, this past summer, we did 2 smaller projects. So Dave, you would know this, McKinley and Roosevelt are identical buildings, right?
Right.
Other than McKinley has that stairwell that goes up to the IMC right off the
Right.
main entrance, and then
Right.
the elevator's right there as well. So just due to how that lays out, the design at McKinley had to be a little more intensive and why it's on here. So at Roosevelt, we put up another set of doors, and then they had that student store that was right inside the front entrance. That
Right.
became their attendance office. So for the time being, that is their secure entrance. That works for everything they want there. But at a later date, we could move their office down adjacent to that area as well. So
Okay.
we're trying to do as many as we can for as least as we can. Unfortunately, there's some of these projects that we just have to do the whole thing at once, otherwise it doesn't function, and that's when we get into the $400,000 range. So like at Roosevelt, I think we were able to do that for right around $50,000, and we did the same thing at Wilson.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for John? Okay. I don't have the agenda in front of me, guys. I don't have any comments or anything myself. What else is on the agenda right after you, John?
Future meetings discussion. So I'll actually share another document here real quick. And with that, before I share that actually, so we were gonna have this on site, which I thought would be a great idea, and is still a great idea to get all you guys out there to see that. The issue I run into is these are all public meetings. So as soon as I do that, then I have to open it up to the public. And there's just a lot of, I guess, details that go into doing that and trying to plan that and schedule that, that is tough. So if you guys would like to come see it, it'll just be in a situation where it's not a public meeting. So if you guys, maybe I can just shoot you guys some dates and times that work, and I can have 3 of you there at a time. If that sounds good to you, or maybe you guys can shoot me some times. I know I talked to Dave already on this, and I think Dave, Wednesday, did you say Wednesday or tomorrow? Tomorrow, okay. Probably tomorrow afternoon. Does like 3 o'clock work for you, Dave? Okay. If anybody else wants to join us at 3 o'clock tomorrow, we can do that. Or anytime in the future. I don't want to have to do seven of them. I hope so. If we can at least get a couple people out there together that want to see it, that works. But maybe just let me know what works for you guys, and I'll try to condense that and just get an email thread going with everybody on what works. So
John, I'll plan on being at that tomorrow at 3. This is
Okay.
Pat.
Perfect.
I'd like to be up there. Okay.
Yep. And then future meetings outside of that. Where is my? Where is my right screen here?
Are we looking at November?
Well, I was trying to get back onto our normal meeting dates.
Yep.
So I wasn't planning on having one until January. But I guess I'll open that up for discussion too, Pat.
I mean, I don't. If we can get everybody out there to see Coolidge between that time frame, if you set up 2 to 3 maybe at the most, appointments for people,
Yep.
that I'd say we go for that, in January if you're okay with it, if everybody else is okay with that, I guess. Lindsay asked for some information and stuff, and if we can get that emailed out to us, that would be great. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And these
Yeah,
dates kind of line. So before New Coolidge started building, we used to meet in October, and then not again until January, February, March, April. We used to have 5 meetings a year. So
Right. Well, we might as well get back on that schedule if that's what it's been. If there's a precedent.
And then Pat, as you referenced just a moment ago, on page 4 of the minutes, you were requested, and it's an action item, and for you to prepare a report school by school with a range or an estimate approximately how much each school will not have covered by insurance or FEMA. I just think realizing it's going to be an estimate, but I think in an oversight role that we need to know so that we have a general sense of what the school district's liabilities are.
Yep, and I don't have that information yet, Lindsay, but when we do, we will share that.
You pretty much got the most of the information you need, though. Just getting finalizing it for the school system, is it?
Yeah, so we have kind of the budgets in for each building, but every day that changes. Just like a construction project, there's change orders in that, and then we have a couple outstanding things in the insurance company we haven't heard back on yet. So really, right now, I just don't know for sure if there is any cost to the school district outside of our deductible.
Okay, so right now, that to the best of your knowledge, it's not millions.
So yeah, to the best of my knowledge, correct.
Okay.
John, I don't think this is going to happen in January, but I'd like to, if down the road, if we can ever get it back to regular meetings, to have a Zoom part of that in our meetings for people that are out of town and to help to get the quorum.
Yep, definitely, Dave. Yeah, well, I think going forward, now that we've had to have everybody on Zoom, that we'll still have that Zoom option for those attendees that aren't able to be there. I know, Dave, you're in the nice warm weather here starting shortly, so yep, no problem. We'll always have that available.
Thank you.
So you have an idea on that January date, John?
Yeah, I would. Jeepers, I would sure check.
The first is on a Friday, so any week's open after that.
I think the only caveat I would have, the only caveat I might have to these meetings is I may add one somewhere in there. Brad Lang, chime in anytime. So the architects are already kind of starting to put their schedules together. So obviously after we get bids back, it comes to this committee and then it goes to the board. And it seems like every year we get to the point, let's say the March 1st one ends up being big, just how the board meetings fall too, that it's like they have to have projects out the door. It ends up being roughly the same time. And I think we get in a spot where it's like, if we would have, I don't remember if it's March or February, if we would have two of them, we'd be able to get contracts awarded sooner and not have everything so stacked up. So we may add one to this just to kind of ease that.
Yeah. With the Zoom option now, it's pretty easy to do.
So it's possible. I know Brad Lang, I know he's putting those schedules together now. So we'll see how that all pans out.
So are you wanting to be consistent month to month? You want to go on the Mondays or like we're at right now, or?
Yeah. So the ones on here,
Monday?
Yeah. So historically we've always done the first Monday of the month.
Okay.
So that's just kind of what I plugged in. Second and fourth Mondays are board meetings. So if we don't do the first Monday, I would recommend being the third Monday of the month just to offset those.
Okay. They'll work for me. I don't know how everybody else figures into that, but it works for myself. Check your schedules, everybody. Is there any other questions for John or Dave you could think of? Without seeing the agenda on there, Dave, John, we don't have anything else on there, do we?
Nope, that'd be all.
Okay. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll move.
Do we have anybody
to adjourn
left?
the meeting.
That was Dave.
That
Yes.
was it.
Any
I'll
discussion?
second it. Second.
Thanks, Lindsay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.